Thank you for keeping it tuned to Smooth 98.1, your love music, love live station. It's a Monday morning, 32 minutes past 7 a.m. Ayokunmi here, ready to take you into the world of the newspapers, taking a look at the major headlines that have been making the rounds and have us all talking. This is a freshly pressed. Apologies for my voice sounding this way. I think the weather has finally gotten to me. I sound like a frog that swallowed another frog, but hey, it is what it is. We are here and we're going to get through this morning, making sure that you get all the stories, you get analysis as well, and you get to share your reactions with us. And you can share those reactions, as always, by sending your messages in on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. 0809 444 0981. That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube to share your thoughts there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Joining me this morning, as they usually do on a Monday, it is Mr. C and, of course, AB Bozimo. Great to have you, gentlemen, on the first Monday in 2025.
Hi, good morning, Mr. C. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning to all of the wonderful listeners out there. Let's make this a meaningful Monday.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, AB. Good morning, Lagos. Happy New Year. Let's the year off to a great start.
Indeed, getting the year off to a great start. The first full week in the year, and everyone is looking to get back on the grind, take the kids back to school, and just begin a normal life. Dirty December is over. It's going to be a clean January for a number of people. But hey, let us begin our journey this morning. Oh, before we do that, you should also join us on YouTube because once again, AB has quite a lovely building behind him. So if you're an architect, buff, you love beautiful buildings, yes, you need to take a look at that. A lot of glass there once again. I don't know why. Glass buildings, they scare me. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. So AB, let's start this morning in the This Day newspaper. Now, President Bola Tinubu yesterday declared that with the elections over, it was time to unite Nigeria, stressing that no one of us has control over our mother tongue. Now, he also made a firm commitment that his administration would complete the Eastern Rail line connecting Port Harcourt to Maiduguri while pledging to develop the huge oil and gas resources in the Anambra Basin. He gave all these assurances in an interactive session with the leaders of the Southeast during his first official visit to Enugu State, or to the Southeast, really. I hailed Governor Peter Mba for demonstrating an irrevocable commitment to human and infrastructural development and so on and so forth. So a number of things were said. President, eschewing nepotism, and of course, calling for unity. Nigerians to all come together to unite, and so on and so forth. Also making promises about developments in the southeast and all that. Now, I'm actually curious to know. I mean, on one hand, talking about unity, this is something that has been an issue, especially if you're on social media, looking at a lot of supporters, for the president, against the president, so on and so forth. It can be a very toxic, as they say, place on social media and even in some real life circles. So a lot of work has to be done on that front. And then secondly, talking about promises, assurances to develop the Southeast, shouldn't this be a case of I will show working as opposed to I promise you, I reassure you? Should that not be what the case is? Bearing in mind that a lot of things have said about, oh, the Southeast being left behind, not enough attention being put there, and so on and so forth. Let me get your thoughts on this one, AB.
Okay. Indeed, no one has control over our mother tongue. So to that extent, the president is correct. That said, he cannot be unaware of the sentiments that go out there that suggest that he has done what I would call Buhari 2.0 in terms of surrounding himself with certain people from a certain part of the country. It is perceived, and he has to do a lot to make people feel that sense of unity. That said, I listen to what he's talking about, completing the Eastern Rail Line. I have an issue with that Eastern Rail Line as a whole. I am strongly concerned that the fact that that corridor alone is going to be a different gauge from the other is going to leave it almost behind, because it means that if you have anything from any other part of the country that has to go to those axes, they have to be transloaded, which adds cost. I can see no reason why the rail standard in Nigeria, Nigeria is not that big, cannot all be the same type. You cannot tell me it's money, because a lot of the money we're talking about comes from some of those areas. Now, we're talking about we shall complete the railway. Does the budget have any capital elements of it? I'll say the one good thing is that here there was a state governor who attempted to show working by inviting the president over to commission some projects. So I did see one project that had no roof on an auditorium that they said was commissioned, but that's fine. We know things happen during construction. At the end of the day, it's a move. Going to visit that state and that region is a good first step. I just think that there are a few other things that the president should do to further demonstrate to the naysayers, if you will, that he is indeed a federalist.
All right, thank you for sharing those thoughts, Evie. Mr.
So
C,
let's know.
All right, jump in here.
Okay, very quickly. Listening to what he has said, I agree with what AB said. And Mr. President did make very bold and categorical promises. However, we must remember this is the same president that announced the establishment of the Southeast Development Commission. Now, ever since the announcement, there's no further statement, no further boots on the ground in respect to that initiative. So, like AB said, it's not enough to come out and make categorical statements. You also have to back those statements of things that we can truly see. This is 2025. This is a broad appeal to the government and its handlers and ministers, heads of departments and agencies that this year we want fewer statements, fewer public statements. We want to see more evidence of actual being done, having been done. Now, I said that this is a governor who's determined to make a difference. He has 35 colleagues in the federation. How many of them actually doing any work we can identify or do the praise? Because it's wrong to bash the government at the center, but we must remember the guys at state level and in their way. This is 2025. This is a call to them that they have to sit up, ball up, because we're going to get out of this collective dire situation we find ourselves in. Everyone has to put in effort.
Indeed, everyone has to put in the effort. Effort is very, very key. Let's head into another story here. I'm going to jump into the punch here, Mr. C. Oil marketers have started loading automotive gas oil. We know it as diesel and kerosene from the World Refining and Petrochemical Company. Now, dealers confirmed this to the Sunday Punch as they demanded premium multi-spirit PMS from the recently rehabilitated plant. Now, WRPC, under the management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, came on stream on 30th of December 2024 after the group CEO, that's Military, announced its resumption of operations during a tour of the facilities. And speaking one of Punch correspondents on Friday at the refinery, the chairman of the Delta State chapter of IPMA, that's the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, that's Harry Okinini, said though the plant was working, it was not at 100% functionality. So diesel is being lifted, kerosene is being lifted, PMS not yet, and we're wondering when that will also come on stream, where PMS can be lifted, and these refineries can begin to produce at scale, really.
Okay, thank you. So the refinery has been clearly opened, and this is in consonance with NNPC seeming tradition of commencing or starting operations at refinery are not fully completed, not fully set to run. We saw that with the Port Harcourt refinery, and we then discovered that certain units are running, certain other units are not running, and the Port Harcourt refinery still does not use premium spirit, or we popularly refer to as petrol. Now the World Refinery is supposedly operating. It is using diesel and kerosene, dual-purpose kerosene. So they use coke or kerosene that can, I believe, be used by airlines for fuels in place of general. Now, the bigger question is, when the announcement was made, there was no indication as to whether it was producing PMS or not. And the NNPC needs to stop this. When it announces the commencement of a refinery's options, its implied communication to the public is that that refinery started producing PMS. If for any reason the refinery is not in position to produce PMS, the NNPC should clearly states so. Now, the people, the marketers, independent marketers who have started lifting kerosene and stuff from the Warren refinery are hopeful that they might be in a position to lift PMS from the refinery by the end of January or start of February. Now, I don't know where they got timeline from. The owners and operators of that refinery have kept silent. And again, this is a new year, cannot continue to carry into the new year the habits of the old years. So it is clear that the units that can actually produce premium motor spirits at the world refinery is not ready. What the NNPC needs to communicate to Nigerians is when that unit be ready and give us a timeline. So we expect that unit up and running in 2025? Are we looking to 2026 or 2027? And then we go to Kaduna Refinery, which we understand also for the same NNPL that will soon be up and running. There is a major question underpinning all these operations. Where are they getting the feedstock from? We know that the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission has allocated a certain sum all the refineries in Nigeria for the first 6 months. I do not recall the figures at this point in time. The question is, does the NNPL have the crude to supply the refinery and the other privately owned refineries in the country? It's one thing to make an allocation. It's another for that allocation to be physically delivered, to be physically selected. These are questions we will find the answers to in the course of the year unfolding. But then it's not yet who, because if we take the Port Harcourt refinery as any indicator, that refinery started. I'm not even sure what current update is. So we'll keep our fingers crossed with regards to the refinery. We will find out how much work was actually done when it was done. But for now, fingers crossed.
For now, fingers are crossed. I mean, on one hand, it is a good thing that these refineries are beginning to produce after so many years of inactivity, and it is only fitting that we look to them to move on to the next level. There's diesel, there's kerosene. Now, PMS should be the next thing, and the independent marketers are also looking at that. Let's take a quick break right now. When we come back in, we'll jump back into the punch, and we're talking about the tax reform bills once again in the news as they have been in the last couple of weeks. Keep it tuned to Freshly Pressed this beautiful Monday morning on Smooth 98.1. Mr. C, your audio seems to be skipping, kind of.
Like it's skipping, yes. Each
Wow.
words are being chopped somehow. I don't know what's really going on.
Okay, let me check what. That's strange because I'm actually connected. Okay,
It's not doing it now. It's not, right now. Right now, it's not doing it.
now.
It's not doing it right now.
It's not doing it right
Right.
now.
When we're on, that's when it begins like it's chopping the words as AB said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me log out and log back in.
Okay.
Okay. No wahala. No wahala.
Mr. C's internet is only producing diesel, no PMS. Sorry.
If you are big now.
Now the country when we this
Welcome back into Freshly Pressed this beautiful, beautiful Monday morning on the Smooth Breakfast. Ayokunmi here. We're taking a look at the stories in the papers, getting analysis as well as your reactions. Please do share them with us because we love to hear from you. WhatsApp is the platform, or one of the platforms, at 0809 444 0981 0809 444 That is the WhatsApp number to send your messages to. You can also join us on YouTube. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Mr. C and AB are still with me on this one, giving their analysis and, of course, making sense of it all. Let me sneak a message or two in. Tony from Ikeja says, there's no doubt there's a gang up against the Southeast region. What is obvious is that the Igbos are pulling their weights in many spheres. Nigeria is undoing itself by playing the tribal cards whenever issues involve the Igbos. The narrow gauge line from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri mocks the kind of government Nigeria runs, especially when other regions are awarded the standard gauge. What is obvious is that the Eastern Rail Line would be scrapped sooner rather than later for a standard gauge, which that region actually demands. Joseph Meunier says, just a random musing, ever since the end of the so-called subsidy era, the massive Dangote PMS production and Port Harcourt refinery as well, but I haven't heard about petrol smuggling across the border again, despite the prices dropping lower when even compared to neighboring countries. Can someone explain why? May God help us. Well, just because we don't hear about it, just doesn't mean it actually isn't happening. They're two different things, really. Okay, let's get back in to the stories here. Abi, let's talk about the tax reform bills. We're sticking in the punch here. In response to mounting opposition, President Bola Tinubu has started sending emissaries to the northern elites to clear the way for the passage of the tax reform bills. Now, sources in the presidency said Tinubu was also consulting with the political class for support on the bills. I mean, at this point in time, it looks like governors in the north and northern elites have put their foot down and said, nope, we are not getting on board with this particular one. You need to, take it out. Let's consult. Let's take another look at it before we can even consider assenting to it. This back and forth has been going on for quite a number of months, AB, and now the president is looking to send, as was said, emissaries to, should I say, reach out to the northern elite for some headway on this matter.
You have to ask yourself why the opposition to the bills. Some have said there wasn't wide enough consulting. I've heard the head of the tax committee say how hard they tried to actually meet with the various governors and other stakeholders and how they generally were not even given the chance to meet with and explain any of them. And there is one item, there are 4 bills, and within the bills, there are about 100 items. There are only about 2 items that are contentious, if you want to call it right now. One of the main ones being VAT. But there does appear to be a lot of misinformation going on. And right now, just to put it very simply, right now, Lagos is the greatest beneficiary of VAT because so many companies are headquartered there. What Taiwo Oyedele and the people are trying to do is make it quote unquote fairer, where people in the various states where consumption actually goes on actually get more VAT. So you find that, I have said this before, northern governors as a class of people in this story have a problem with the word value. Value added tax. I've heard them say, why should an act like food be produced in Yobe, then transported down to Ogun for processing, and then sold back to people in Yobe? Okay, good question. So is the solution to that not to insist on factories being set up in Yobe so that doesn't happen? I really am concerned that an opportunity to take a better look at now. Let me say this. This notion of taxing everything that is breathing is still a problem because you tax income, you tax productivity, you tax when there's money. There is really no money. So the whole idea of taxing some companies, they'll just push those costs to the consumer. Let's get it straight. We will pay more for certain things. But the way the northern governors, the story says they are adamant and have said that the bill must be withdrawn. I think that is the most backward approach to this matter. They are not seemingly able to articulate exactly why it should be withdrawn. If something has been presented that you have objections to, it would behoove you to make a lucid presentation about what your objections are. And nobody has said it's a bill for consideration. So there's still room for conversation. I'm really, really disturbed about how the northern governors as a class are so anti-progress. Look, I grew up in the north. There is absolutely nothing you're looking for in terms of beauty, in terms of tourism, in terms of productive people, in terms of wonderful one people that you're going to find in the north. And if you want to take one other part, the north is socio-culturally similar to a country that many people know about, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and so. So if there's anything, I should expect them to be trying to model themselves after places like that. It completely baffles me how adamant they are without seemingly actually looking at the merits of the bill. And I don't know whether those emissaries may be able to work or help, but we are seeing parts of the reason why Nigeria simply finds it difficult to move forward holistically in a productive, progressive manner. It's unfortunate.
Okay, so Ewan, let me quickly jump in on this. So to add to what Amy has said, the North consistently has not displayed or indicated any desire to truly grow. And we've had northern elites over the decades complain that the region is the least developed in Nigeria. Now here's a golden opportunity to take the bull by the horns and then spur on demand, spur on growth in their region. And the governors are simply unable to articulate a coherent position that will be understood by other Nigerians. And this is symptomatic of the entire class of governors. So you say the tax bill as presented is bad. I've looked at it, and with Davy, I agree that, look, if you say this bill shouldn't pass, what should then pass? You simply cannot be saying no in 2025. You have to offer up an alternative that we can look at, because the truth of the matter is the economy must grow. Now, how did we get here? Years of indifference, years of impunity have led us here. Now, it's instructive that despite the general notion that the present 10th National Assembly function merely as rubber stamps, this is one clear indication that the executive won't get its way initially as planned. Now, there's a lot of opposition, and it then shows that the North, when it is seemingly within its interest, comes together irrespective of cultural differences. So the bigger question here is, what are the people of Nigeria saying with regards to the tax bill? I would expect that the president will take this tax bill to the ordinary Nigerian on the street and explain how it will benefit him or her in the short term, in the midterm, and in the long term. If the president were to do that and get the buy-in of the average Nigerian, then he may not necessarily need all this reaching out to so-called influential northern elites, because once he has a buy-in of the common Nigerian man and woman, the National Assembly will be forced to take the position as articulated by the Nigerian people. But the government, in its collective wisdom, has chosen the path it wants to go on, it wants to pursue, and we can only wish them the very best.
Indeed. Okay, a few messages here, Mr. C, before we get back into talking about the NNPCL. I mean, we can't not have conversations about them every single day. Chooks from Ikorodu says, I support the northern opposition to the tax reform bill. They are in a war situation, and so this is the wrong time for the reforms because they are disadvantaged. Wouldn't that be holding the rest of the country to, country hostage when you think about it? I don't know.
The
Maybe.
question is, why are they disadvantaged? Like Mr. C said, they have had elites in leadership for decades, indeed, more than Southern leaders. So and I hate the fact that we have to be talking north, south, north, south. We should be talking about progressing or not progressing. But we can see a certain region has chosen to become an obstacle and have not been able to articulate exactly why. But you said they're behind. Why are they behind? Was it a deliberate thing from some other person, or have they decided not to advance their people? I grew up in Kaduna, Zaria. So I went to school in Kaduna. Listen, it's not because of me that the North is not moving ahead. I don't know that there was a time when a certain president was trying his best to build schools. Northern leaders rejected schools. Okay, so how are you going to now say you are behind?
Ajayi Olonilua says it's a good omen that the Warri refinery has started operations shortly after the Port Harcourt refinery. The expectation of Nigerians is that the price of petrol will come down as these refineries begin production. All right, let's get back into the stories here, Mr. C. Headed into the Guardian now, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project. Yes, our friends at SERAP have called on Mele Kyari, the group chief executive officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, to account for 825 billion naira and $2.5 billion allegedly unaccounted for in the company's operations. Now, these funds, or these missing funds, were reportedly meant for, in quotes, refinery rehabilitation and other oil revenues as documented in the 2021 annual report by the Auditor General of the Federation. Okay, the NNPCL in the eye of the storm where huge amounts of money are concerned. And we all know the NNPCL's legendary status when it comes to mystery and, should I say, the dark arts, as it were. Mr. C.
Okay, thank you, Ayo. So traditionally, the NNPC hasn't had the best reputation when it comes to openness, accountability, and transparency. Recently, we've seen them try to shift that perception, that narrative, by publishing audited financial statements. Now, the Auditor General did an audit of NNPC in 2021. Now, I hear some listeners arguing that isn't the NNPC a privately listed company? Yes, now it is. But at the time when the audit was conducted, the NNPC was still a public company owned by the federal government. Now, the sum of 825 billion naira and 2.5 billion US dollars cannot be accounted for. Now, I like what SERAP is doing, but I take exception to them asking Mele Kyari to account for it, because this is part of the reason why we don't have strong institutions in Nigeria today. The NNPC and Mele Kyari are two separate, distinct personalities. I would have expected SERP to ask the NNPC, led by its chairman and the board of directors, to account for the monies, not Mele Kyari. Now, interestingly enough, Mr. Mele Kyari turns 60 in about 2 days. Now, there is some controversy with regards to whether he's going to step down or he's going to continue, because when the NNPC was a public company, he would have had to step down in 2 days. But it became a private company, I believe, last year or 2021, and he now has a 5-year term, supposedly. Now, the bigger question is this: will the NNPC respond? I don't see them responding, because it seems these sums of money have vanished into thin air, especially given the fact that they were meant for refinery repairs. And we do know that repairs that were done in the past were either not done at all or were not done properly. So it will be interesting to see if the NNPC does in fact respond to this request from SERP, which is a 7-day notice, at the expiration of which we expect SERP to institute a civil court action against the NNPCL and its officers. But we'll see what happens. But again, this report highlights careless handling of public finances and a complete disregard for conventional accounting practices. But we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. NNPCL and mystery. Even Sherlock Holmes would be very proud of what they've been able to do. Let's take some messages as we round up this morning on Freshly Pressed. Zeman from Bristol says it's okay. It's okay for political leaders to look away from bigotry during elections because it suits them, but they call for unity when elections are over. Who do these guys think they are fooling? Aya from Festac says, has the tax bill not been sent to the National Assembly? Who are the northern elites that the president is consulting with that are different from our elected representatives? I think consultation with an undefined elite will only make the bill open-ended. Perhaps. Who else is talking to us here? Shaita from Lekki says, the tax reform will be consumption reflective. No northern government wants you to know the level of alcohol consumed in their states. They have been destroying trucks in a time past. She's breaking tables here. Idimapuza says, refineries coming back on stream without reduction in fuel pump price is a waste. Let the prices of fuel come down for Nigerians. All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts there. Barrister Danukuda says the conservative posture of the northern establishment is actually slowing down their economic growth. And let me take one more here, if I can. Michael says, not surprised about the reasoning of some of our governors on this issue of the tax reform bills. Can we please raise educational qualifications of our leadership standard where critical thinking and reasoning plays a vital role in leading the country? I hear you on that one, and say it should be extended to the followership as well, because if you've seen comments here and there, you will understand why it is very, very critical that that happens. Alrighty, thank you for sharing all your thoughts this morning. Thank you so much, AB and Mr. C, for joining me on a Monday morning. It is a pleasure starting the new year. Well, starting a Monday in the new year on this note, you guys. AB, you're muted.
Thank you. The pleasure and privilege are always mine. Let's make this a money-making Monday and have a fantastic year, everybody.
Thank you for having me here, Nigerians. Let's get ready. 2025 will bring its challenges, but we will surmount these challenges. We will be great again. Take care.
We will be great again. Very, very powerful words there. All right. Thank you once again. And of course, keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. It's a Monday, so you know at 8:15, we'll take a walk into the locker room and talk about all the sporting action from all over the weekend.